How's it going, everybody? Hopefully, you've had a wonderful day, week, month, or whatever unit of time. Um, I know that my week has been all over the place. I've been busy writing up stuff for college applications. I'm applying for a master's degree. So hopefully that'll go well. We'll see. But it's been really, really frustrating because I have to write a million things that no one's probably gonna read. They're gonna feed it through an AI, and then well, it's just a massive waste of time, but it is a necessity because, well, you can't just submit an empty application, right? And that made me think, and I think I know exactly what I want to talk about today. And that is, and that's ambition and perfectionism and why it's really, really bad. And this goes outside of the scopes of being a content creator. Obviously, that's mainly the themes that I touch upon in videos on this channel. But, I think that as we do something, be it make videos or write paragraphs or whatever, as we do things over time, we get better at them, right? But because that growth is so slow and gradual, we don't really get a proper sense of how much we've grown until we look back at how we used to do things. So, like rewatching one of your old videos, something along those lines. It can really, really help contextualize how far you've come as a person, or specifically in that one skill. And that's cool, But on the other hand, it does also lead to a lot of problems mentally. Because I feel like a lot of people who do that are also in a state where they are constantly disappointed with the quality of the work they're outputting. And I suffer from this myself, so, I'm totally not projecting here, guys. I've been doing YouTube for like years. Jesus, yeah. I mean, I made my very first YouTube channel in 2018, but I really only started making videos where I at least kind of tried. This is a cool cave. Videos where I at least kind of tried in I want to say 2020. Even if they were never published or stuff, they were edited and they were really bad. But there was still kind of a charm to them, right? They were simple and elegant. And I look at my stuff now and it is unrecognizable, which is impressive. The fact that I've come so far and I'm still kind of doing the same thing, but it's also very different, is cool. It's very neat to see how far we've grown. But it gets to a point where it becomes very, very, very unhealthy, and you can easily lose scope of what you're doing. So the first video I posted on this channel, I mentioned, which by the way, I don't blame you if you haven't watched it. It's like half an hour long. I know that everyone's attention spans are cooked. I get it. But I talked about Pyrocynical, which, if you don't know, is a YouTuber who's been doing stuff for years. He's been posting back in the MLG era, where Leafy is here and stuff. And so it's kind of impressive that he still managed to maintain some degree of relevancy. Usually YouTube channels will teeter off after some point and either they quit or they keep posting but get 1,000 views, like all the kids creators, like Sunday and shit. Although I haven't specifically checked up on those, but you get the point. And it's really impressive that Pyrocynical has managed to stray from that. He still nets millions of views on stuff on his main channel, and he posts commentary garbage on his second one. And VODs on his third, but that's not real content, let's be real here. And it's really funny because I was talking about how he has this habit of making unnecessarily long videos where he describes every single aspect of a game, and then it kind of just balloons and balloons. I guess the better word would be inflates in size of, the length. And it's very, very funny because a day after I posted that and I talked about that, he uploads a video. Now that's not a normal thing. He doesn't usually upload. He posts once every few months usually because he has such high production value. He's ambitious. Yeah, that's why I'm talking about him. The video is fucking 8.5 hours long. And I kid you not, it is 8.5 hours long. And all he does is talks about a game, Fear and Hunger. If you've not played that game, do not bother. I'm going to be so real with you. Now, I, as the professional autist that I am, sat through the full 8 hours. Not in one sitting, thank God. But still, I did watch that video within the span of like a week, which is probably still way too much, but I do watch a lot of YouTube for no reason. The video was really disappointing to me, and I'm sure a lot of other people had the same sentiment who are fans of his, because there were aspects that I know, as an editor, I can look at this and say, oh wow, this probably took a lot of time to make, but it doesn't really contribute in any way, and so it's completely unnecessary. He spent tens of thousands of dollars on like cosplays where he dresses up as the characters that you can play as in the game, and he has like a custom set and backdrop, and that's cool. But it's also such a waste of money, and it doesn't contribute anything at all to the video. And this is something that he loves to do this. But it's an example of ambition. If you were to walk up to him and ask him, "Hey man, Niall, why the hell did you do this?" He'd probably be like, "Oh, I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. It's kind of funny. I'm dressing up like a woman. And that would probably be the end of it. Because to him, it's just normal. That he's the goalpost has moved so much that it is just second nature. And I have experienced that myself. I'm making like high production videos where I'm literally, I'm learning like Blender. I'm doing motion capture animations, like 3D stuff. I am making music in FL Studio for the first time in my life, and I haven't even studied music theory, and I have like a year of piano under my belt, but I manage. And I'm doing all these things for the video, and I don't think anybody is really going to notice or appreciate. I mean, the animations they might, but all in all, the average person, if I made the exact same video without those aspects, those aspects taking so much time out of it, I don't think people would really have a more negative experience watching it. But for me, again, there's this weird reason, and it's almost inexplicable. But for me, I'm like, well, I want to do this. Also, sorry, I'm a little under the weather. That's why my voice is kind of fucked. Yeah, for me, it's just normal, because I'm like, okay, I wanted to do this. This is a video about a game that quite literally changed my life. I want to go all out for it. And you know what? As a one-off, it might be acceptable, but generally, it's like, I don't think I'm ever gonna do something to this degree again. Because ambition, people love to say, like, if you're applying to work or something, people love to write, "Oh, I'm ambitious, I'm self-driven, I'm an excellent candidate for this position," right? Ambition can be bad in too high amounts. If you're too ambitious, it can turn into kind of a form of perfectionism, and nobody likes a perfectionist. About a year and a half ago at this point, yeah, I made a video talking about another game that I'm a huge fan of, Celeste. And in that video, I decided to manually reconstruct the audio of some scenes of the game, because I not only had the means to do so, I had Asset Studio, which is a program that lets you like rip game files. And so I was able to find all the sound effects and everything. But I also realized like the quality was really bad, and so I had this kind of level of this standard in my head where I'm like, okay, well, it needs to be this good or this bad to be good, right? To be acceptable. And so I literally, what I did is I have an inside joke with one of my friends, because he was there, he watched me do this. I did surgery on a game. I literally had to unpack all of the game files. I guess I just made a crafting table for the first time. Interesting. Wow, this is such a bad mouse. I had to unpack the game files, find a specific sound effect, because it was the rain ambience, right? I had to find the rain ambience, and then I had to delete it, repack everything, and then make it so the game would still run, which required like another half hour of debugging. And I did all of that just so I didn't have to hear the stupid rain in the background, and I could isolate certain sounds because they were separate files instead of one big like OGG or WAV or MP3 or whatever. And so I went through so much effort for fuck all. Literally removing the rain in the background, which now you could probably do with like Audacity. I just was too stupid or lazy. And it's so unnecessary. So I guess what I want to say is, even if you look back, right, there's that veil of nostalgia, the kind of like it's not even nostalgia because it's just the past. You don't have a full recollection of everything, but you can say like, oh man, I'm so ambitious now. I'm putting way too much work into this. But in reality, you can be like, oh, I wish I still did it like I did back then. Back then, you were probably doing the exact same thing. You were probably just as ambitious. You just didn't have the skill set to execute it on such a degree. You didn't know Blender, you didn't know FL. Well, I still don't know FL, but you know what I mean. And so it's interesting because we kind of get blinded by that. We don't get a full perspective of how much we really put into things of that nature. I think ambition is good, but I think it's also important to have restraint. It's much like humor. Good humor requires a lot of restraint, sometimes you'll make a joke and it won't land, and that's completely fine, and you need to be able to move on from that and not double down. Or sometimes refraining from telling a joke immediately and kind of having this form of like discipline where you don't say it right away. There's a lot about comedy that is so complex, and there's a lot to unpack there, and it's really fascinating if you've ever tried being a comedian, even in like writing or anything. And I think ambition is a lot like that. After this video is done, which has already taken such a toll on me, but I want this to be the magnum. It's not going to be the magnum opus because I'm probably going to get better at some point, but I want this video to be really good. I'll just say that. And once it's done, I'm going to make the most mediocre videos ever. And I'll tell you why. Because my definition of mediocre is unimaginably good to me from a year ago. Me from a year ago was ambitious and driven, but wasn't as good at what I do now. And so for him, it would take so much more time and effort to reach the same. I hear water. Where is that? That's like here, I think. I'm gonna see if I can find this. For that past version of me, it would have been so much more meaningful and there we go. Okay, I think this is just a body of water, so I need to be careful here. It was so much more impressive and important, and so because the amount of effort necessary to execute that same skill has greatly diminished. Whoa, okay. I don't have coal. Okay, that's fine. Sorry, I need to lock in here for one moment. Okay. For past me, it would be huge. It would be like, I would be so proud of myself. I remember I made this really bad, really long video about a game, and it was like half an hour long, and I spent so much time like doing little keyframe animations on images. It wasn't really impressive. I could do it very easily now, but at the time I was so proud. I went on Twitter and I posted like a teaser, and I was so proud of it. And now it's nothing to me because I've gotten to the point where the goalpost is moved. It's not as valuable to me anymore, and that's completely fine. But the important thing is to be aware of that and be able to reconcile with the fact that maybe doing your best is actually the worst thing you can do. Okay, I've had multiple iron ingots. I don't understand how this works. Yeah, I don't understand how Minecraft achievements work, I guess, because it's like, I guess because you have to finish this before you get the achievement for the other one, I guess. Oh man, it was so much simpler back in the day. You didn't have like a million tabs. Sorry, I don't play a lot of really old Minecraft, and so it's kind of fun to like rediscover the game in this aspect. I mean, I used to play old Minecraft, but you know, it's not the same. All right, let's see what we got going here. Got some coal up there. So I think if there's anything I want you to take away from this video, it is that you should absolutely do your best. Absolutely get out there and give it your all, especially if it's something that's really important. If you're applying to colleges or you're doing like a exam, you know, there's stakes. Ho 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 ho, diamonds. You know, there's stakes for those things, and they're important, absolutely. And so you should try 100%. But sometimes you need to know when to stop. You can write an assignment and, you know, like a paper, and put a lot of effort into it, and it can be a really, really good paper. But on the other hand, you don't need to spend 2 hours formatting it, giving it the right font, the right spacing, custom margins, you know, bolding and italicizing certain verbiage. Yeah, just put it through like Grammarly. Awesome. Diamonds. Just 2. I might have to make like a sword with that, maybe, or maybe a shovel. Okay. So I mean, you know, you gotta know what is important, and that's sometimes much harder than we realize to evaluate the importance of things in life, because you know, for a project that is important to you, you can say, well, everything's important. Like, okay, yeah, it's a really cheap answer. That's not what we're looking for here. You need to know what to prioritize. And sometimes you have to accept and come to terms with the fact that you won't make the perfect project. But that's okay. Because quitting, well, not really quitting, but I mean, you can quit, and that's fine too. Quitting is okay. Let me make that clear. But it's what you take away from it that is the most important. You need to know when to finish and when to say that you're finished. You don't need to work on something for all of eternity, because that's not a passion project. That's slavery.